Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something really fun and entirely hands-on. We are going to talk about how to make that massive leap from just being a passive consumer of technology, someone who just plays the games or watches the animations, into an actual creative director. And we're doing it all through Scratch. By the end of our time together, you'll have the exact blueprint you need to build your very first game. So let's jump right in. I want you to start by asking yourself this. What if coding a game was literally as easy as snapping together digital Legos? Because, let's be real, when most of us hear the word coding, we instantly picture dark screens, endless lines of complicated green text, and heavy syntax that basically looks like an alien language. But what if we just completely remove that barrier? What if all the logic of programming was right at your fingertips, just waiting to be clicked into place? Well, that is the exact core philosophy behind Scratch. You don't need to type out hard words or memorize a bunch of confusing symbols. You just snap visual coding blocks together exactly like you would with interlocking toy bricks. If the blocks fit together, the code works. It's brilliant. It completely shifts your role. You're not just a typist anymore. You are the director. You're snapping blocks together to tell your characters exactly what to do, which lets you create games and interactive stories with absolutely zero frustration.
All right, Section 1, Exploring the Studio. Okay. Before we look at the whole software layout, we gotta define the most important part of your production, which is the sprite. In the Scratch universe, a sprite is simply your actor. It's the character, the object, or the hero that you, the director, are going to command and bring to life on the screen. It could be a cat, a rocket ship, a dancing dinosaur, literally anything you want to direct.
Now take a look at how intuitively the workspace is laid out. It's essentially a real movie studio. We've got 4 main areas here. First, up in the top right is the stage. This is your theater. It's where the actual game happens and where your audience watches the action. Right below that, at number 2, is the sprites area. Think of this as your green room, where your actors hang out before you give them commands. Over on the far left, at number 3, is your block palette. This is your ultimate toolbox, all neatly color-coded, holding every command you could possibly give. And finally, taking up all that big space in the middle at number 4 is the scripts area. This is the brain. This is where you drag your blocks, snap them together, and write the actual script for your actors to follow.
Moving on to Section 2, the building blocks.
First up, we have events. Notice the shape of these yellow blocks. They have this rounded top, kind of like a little hat. That shape is actually a massive clue. It means nothing can snap on top of them. They have to go at the very beginning of your script. Events are your triggers. They are the go buttons. Without an event block, your code literally doesn't know when to start. It might be when the green flag is clicked to start the whole game, or when the space key is pressed to make your character jump. They are the starting pistol.
Next, we've got the blue blocks, motion. If events are the starting pistol, motion blocks are your character's feet. This is how you create physical action on the stage. You can command your sprite to move 10 steps forward, point in a specific 90-degree direction, or even use a little magic to instantly go to a random position on the X and Y axes. If you want your actor to explore the theater, you absolutely need these blue motion blocks.
Then we have the purple and pink blocks, looks and sounds. This is where you inject some true personality into your project. Because you don't just want a lifeless robot sliding around, right? You want a living character. The purple looks blocks let you change their appearance, make them grow or shrink, or pop up a little speech bubble that says hello. The pink sound blocks let you add audio, like playing a meow sound effect or setting up some background music for your scene.
So the big question is, how do we tie all of these together? Well, that brings us to the orange control blocks. These are the absolute brain and logic center of your code. They manage time, like telling your code to simply wait 1 second, so things don't happen faster than the human eye can track. They manage loops, like the forever block, which is perfectly shaped to wrap around other blocks and just repeat them non-stop. And they handle decisions. Imagine telling your game, if my character is touching the red lava, then trigger the game over screen. That is the power of control blocks.
Let's put it together in Section 3, Building a Walking Script.
To create a continuous animation, like making a character walk, we need a foundational 3-step logic. Step 1 is the start. We need that trigger to kick things off. Step 2 is the loop. We have to tell the computer to keep doing the action so it doesn't just run once and completely stop. And Step 3 is the action itself. The specific commands to move forward, swap the artwork so the legs look like they're moving, and wait a tiny fraction of a second so it looks natural.
Look really closely at how the code runs here. It goes top to bottom, flowing straight down like a waterfall. We start at the top with our yellow event hat, when green flag clicked. The moment we click that flag, the water flows down into our orange forever loop. Everything inside this loop is now going to repeat endlessly. So what's inside? First, our blue block, move 10 steps. Then the purple block, next costume, which swaps the picture of the cat so its legs alternate. Finally, an orange control block, wait 0.1 seconds. If we didn't have that wait block, the computer would process these steps so incredibly fast that the cat would just look like a blurry speed demon. This waterfall logic right here, this is the heart of all programming.
And that brings us to Section 4, Becoming a Pro Coder.
We're going to use a super simple 5-step recipe card to build a mini project together right now. Step 1, choose your sprite. Step 2, add your event trigger. Step 3, add your loop. Step 4, add the motion. And Step 5, which is honestly the most important rule of coding, test it out.
All right, here's your exact recipe to make your first interactive game where a sprite actually chases your mouse pointer around the screen. Think about the logic we just talked about. You start with the yellow when-green flag clicked. You wrap a forever loop right beneath it so the game never stops checking. Inside that loop, you drop a blue point towards mouse pointer block, immediately followed by a blue move 10 steps block. Now, when you click that flag and move your mouse around, your sprite will constantly calculate where your mouse is, turn to face it, and take 10 steps toward it, over and over again in that forever loop. You guys, you've literally just created interactive AI.
As you build this, and as you start tackling bigger games, it really helps to adopt what we call the pro coder mindset. First, test often. Don't build a massive script and just cross your fingers hoping it works. Click that green flag all the time to check your progress. Second, remix. Look at other people's projects on Scratch, peek at their code, and learn how they did it. Third, debugging. If your code breaks, do not panic. A bug is just a tiny mistake. Read your blocks out loud, top to bottom like a story, and I promise you'll find where the logic went wrong. And finally, above all else, just have fun. Be creative, experiment, make mistakes, and build things that make you smile.
We've covered the studio, the blocks, the loops, and the mindset. You are officially no longer just a player, you are a creator. So I want to leave you with one final thought as we wrap up this explainer. Now that you have the tools to build your very own interactive digital world, what story are you going to direct first? Go open up Scratch, grab that yellow event hat, and start building. Thank you so much for joining me today, and happy coding.